Bob 106.3.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that every single day celebrates the men and women who are making Coast of Mississippi such a great place to live, work, and play. I hope you're enjoying your Tuesday morning and that it got off to a good start. And I want to also thank you. Thank you for listening to Coast Vue and engaging in Coast Vue. You know, one of the good things about Facebook and sort of being a former media guy, I like metrics. I like to study metrics. And we get a lot of, you know, there's a lot of bad for Facebook. There's some good from Facebook as well. But the reality is that's where a lot of people are. And I get a lot of metrics about where people are who pay attention to the show. And it's great to see that such a great cross-section of people all across coastal Mississippi who are watching it. We have people from Washington, D.C. who pay attention. We have people from Jackson and Madison and other parts of Mississippi who pay attention. So people generally who love coastal Mississippi like coming and listening to Coast Vue because we're celebrating the people who make this such a great place to live. So I really want to thank you for listening. If you haven't gone to the Facebook page for SuperTalk/Ricky Mathews and like that, do that. And when you do it, you'll get the updates that happen along the way. You can go to the SuperTalk Gulf Coast 103.1 Facebook page as well, and like that, and you'll have the ability. You'll get the alerts when the live show starts on Facebook. You can go to the SuperTalk Mississippi page. There's actually a subsection at the SuperTalk Mississippi YouTube page for Coast Vue. You can watch the show live there. You can watch it live on Facebook. You can watch it live on SuperTalk TV, the people who have that capability. You can obviously listen to it on 103.1. You know, a lot of people do, and we really appreciate that. Or you can listen to it later on your favorite podcast. You know, we're on all the popular podcast platforms. One of the neat things about either going to YouTube or going to your favorite podcast platform and just doing a search for Coast Vue is you can toggle down and see all the conversations that we've had, and so you can pull up some of the ones that might be of interest to you that we've had over the course of this great. Next January the 6th will be 2 years that we've been doing Coast Vue, over 600 conversations. Kyle and I have been on a great journey. What I like to say about it, incidentally, is that every day I have these conversations and it shapes my thinking. It shapes my thinking about coastal Mississippi. It sometimes changes my point of view. It's interesting the way that works, but I come into this knowing that I have so much to learn personally. I have inspiration to get. And now, while I retired almost 6 years ago, this opportunity to do this show is a way for me to sort of stay connected and make a contribution back to coastal Mississippi. So it's been a lot of fun. I want to move on now to our first guest today, Mike Davis, who's the director of sales at the IP Casino and Spa, and he's a friend, someone I've paid attention to. We're friends on Facebook. We communicate before. We communicate with each other pretty often, and also I might add that he's been on Coast Vue before to talk about some community efforts that he's been involved in. But today we're going to talk about Mike. So let me before I go any further, let me just welcome you to Coast Vue, Mike.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ricky. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's good to have you. Hey, one of the things that brought my focus back to you was the One Coast Awards. And when I was the publisher of the Sun Herald, we started these awards, and eventually they moved from the Sun Herald over to the Coast Chamber, and then other chambers are involved as well. But I'm so excited that it continues on, because what I used to say to the winners back when they were Sun Herald Awards, and I'm sure that you're told this when you're selected recently, is that congratulations first of all, but then also thank you for being willing to be sort of an example for others. We want young and old alike to be inspired by the story that you tell about not only your commitment to your work, but your commitment to the community, and that by holding you up as an example, we can find more people who will be willing to do that. And I refer to you and people like you as one of the 1,000 points of light. So thank you for allowing us to hold you up as an example.
Well, I appreciate that, and certainly it's humbling to be on that list as you look back at all the winners from when the Sun Herald was hosting the event all the way to today. There's just great leaders in there. Many of those I had an opportunity to work with throughout my career, and a lot of them I consider mentors. I mean, they helped me form the career that I've had.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And you've had a cool career. You've worked for numerous gaming operations. You actually went to school in San Francisco. We're going to get an understanding of all that here in just a second. But what is so important about the One Coast Awards as they are today, with the focus on sort of the regional piece, is that it's hard to make regionalism work. The recent example with the coastal Mississippi tourism effort and the important conversations that have taken place around that is an example of how you have to stay focused on doing the things you need to do to make it successful. There are a lot of stakeholders involved in coastal Mississippi. I'm not talking about tourism now, although this does apply to tourism, but there's a lot of stakeholders involved. We're a collection of communities, 15 counties or county or city seats involved in coastal Mississippi, a lot of legislative a large legislative delegation, a big business community. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of people actually who get sort of this regional thing, that we can have our differences at the local level, but when it comes to understanding our common interest, it's really important for us to keep that conversation going so people don't forget that we will live or die as a region ultimately. Don't you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Early in my career, back in the Broadwater days, we would go out to trade shows and be representing the Biloxi area, the Broadwater property, and then of course the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And at that time, people didn't realize that we were on the Gulf of Mexico. They thought we were a little community on the Mississippi River. And so we really had to focus our energies and our conversations toward everything that the Mississippi Gulf Coast has to offer. And it really starts with on one end of the bookend with the Jackson County world, and then you go over to the Hancock County world and everything in between.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, and we talked about this on Coast Vue several times, but there are lots of things that highlight this collection of communities that make coastal Mississippi such a special place, but probably none as good as Cruising the Coast. Cruising the Coast sort of connects the dots by having these special events that happen. And when you talk about, like, for example, people typically didn't think of Moss Point as a place to stop. And for old timers, they remember Moss Point as sort of, that's where the paper mill was, and it didn't smell right. But those days are long gone. Moss Point actually is really establishing itself as this sort of small river city with this quaint, cool little riverside feel to it. And when the cruising people went there for that stop, they loved it, and the merchants there loved it. And then you go all the way to the other end, to Bay St. Louis, and see all those old cars in that incredible downtown area that has risen up out of the ashes from Katrina. And I mean, we are just lucky that we have these collection of communities, each with their own sort of unique characteristics that come together to form this place called coastal Mississippi. And I think that's one of the smartest things we ever did, is say, we're the secret coast, but we are coastal Mississippi, and this is how we want you to know us from now on. That's a pretty cool thing, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I would also, a lot of our signature events down here and our festivals do that. You look at the Gulf Coast Marathon, for example, which, what better place to run from Bay St. Louis all the way into downtown Biloxi, 26 miles of beach and beautiful scenery. If we figure out some way to run across the bridge into Ocean Springs, then we got all three counties involved, but I'm sure that's in the plans. We got so many great assets down here. What's great is our communities all have their own identity. What Ocean Springs looks like is much different than what Gulfport looks like, but they each offer a unique tourism product and tourism opportunity. You live and work and play in your community, and I'm fortunate to live in Jackson County and in Ocean Springs, but I also work in Harrison County, and I see the benefits of both communities, of what we bring to coastal Mississippi.
Well, you know what? Let me just comment about one thing. I'm a runner, and you think about the Coastal Mississippi Marathon that you mentioned a few minutes ago. If you were to find a way to have the Biloxi Ocean Springs Bridge sort of be the last whatever of that, every runner would hate you. Every runner would hate you. But I remember, hey, listen, when we were fighting over that bridge after Hurricane Katrina,
Sure.
Haley Barber, and he talked about this in his book, incidentally. I had the pleasure of writing the foreword to his book on Katrina, but he talks about a conversation he had with me. He called me once, and I was pushing hard, and we were writing lots of editorials about it, and he said, do you really think people, the grade, I keep being told by MDOT that the grade of this bridge is not going to make it so that people want to walk on it. And so why would we spend all this money for this sort of walking path on the bridge when no one's going to use it? And I said, Haley, if we don't do this, we will regret it. I've been told that it's going to be used. And, ultimately, with lots of input, the governor finally said, we need to do this. And they found the money. And look where we are today. I mean, you know what? If you go look on any of the travel sites, it's regularly listed as one of the top attractions of coastal Mississippi, the bridges. I mean, you would have never thought that would be the case. Hey, listen, when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Mike Davis from the IP, and we're going to talk a little bit about his life. We'll be back after this break.
Thanks.
Coast View on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
It's 2021 and J. Allen Toyota still has a lifetime warranty on all new Toyotas. They all come with Toyota Care. We've got a great rental department. We've got great used cars. We've got a parts and service department ready to help you. So when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. Look, it's so interesting during the break. I was telling Mike Davis from the IP, who recently won a One Coast Award, but I was telling him we should spend more time together because there's so much to talk about. I mean, like, for example, during the break, we got to talking about the bridge, and I'll let him make his comment. But then that led me to say, Lord, look at he actually serves on the Planning Commission in Ocean Springs, which is a great place to be if you want to help maintain a very special sense of place, which is the case for Ocean Springs. But make your comment about the bridge.
Well, as I was saying, I run. I'm not a runner, but I do run a little bit. And the bridge was always a training ground for us. So running across the bridge and back again is a natural 5K track, if you will. But then if you want to continue a little bit farther and go down Ocean Springs Beach and to the harbor and back again, that's another 2-mile stretch. So it's a great running track for those that like to participate in running a little bit more than I do.
Well, after Hurricane Katrina, Ocean Springs was one of the only cities, in fact, maybe the only city that didn't have total devastation or water in it or whatever. So it was an important hub to help people understand what could be in these other communities as they began to sort of rise from the rubble of Hurricane Katrina. But Ocean Springs is a special place, isn't it, Mike?
It is. I grew up in Ocean Springs. I spent most of my life in Ocean Springs. I left briefly to go to school and college and get married, but returned to the Gulf Coast, and I knew that Ocean Springs is the only place I wanted to live. I've been part of the community since the 1970s. I went to school in Ocean Springs. I had a wonderful upbringing in Ocean Springs, great parents, great friends, just a great sense of community. And now, as I get a little bit older and I'm able to give back a little bit more, I like to spend as much time and energy focusing on some of the projects that are close to me in my hometown of Ocean Springs.
Yeah, there's a lot of gifts I get from doing the show. One of the gifts I get is the opportunity to spend time with Julian Rankin, the executive director for the Walter Anderson Museum of Art. And you're on the board of trustees there. You know him well, don't you?
I do, and I think that I'm Walter Anderson or any museum's target audience because I really know nothing about art whatsoever, but I'm learning it as I go along. And I was asked to join the board and never had met Julian until that point. And I have been so impressed with his work and the things that he brings to the table, his forward thinking, his approach to business, his approach to his role in our community and making it better. We're very fortunate to have them, but more importantly, we're very fortunate to have that cornerstone of tourism in Ocean Springs. That is our cornerstone. That is what everyone comes to Ocean Springs knows about and hears about. And our community is very, very important. So having a leader like Julian in that role, I think it only enhances what we're trying to do.
There's no doubt it does. And I had him on the show last week. As we often do, we get into these incredible conversations because he's such a great thinker. He's so articulate. He's so smart. And what we talked about, sort of this drive that the museum has to sort of reach out into the community and be participants and leaders in the community building efforts. And it led us to say that the things, this attention to detail, this willingness to get in the trenches and work really hard, all those attributes are important, whether you're doing community work like Julian's doing or whether you're running a business. What a superstar he is, and you're really lucky to have him at the museum. So what took you to San Francisco?
Well, I started out my career as I was going into school, went to Southern Mississippi for a couple semesters, and I knew I always wanted to be in the hospitality business. I remember back in the early 70s when President Ford came into town, and the restaurant shut down. They have his silverware, they have his plates all lined up there at Fisherman's Wharf, and I thought it was really, really cool that the hospitality industry hosts these celebrities and these dignitaries and these folks. So I wanted to go in the hospitality industry. I went to Southern to start that program or start a program like that. And unfortunately, they didn't have it up and running at that time when I was going to school. So my counselor actually told me that there's a couple of schools that would be of some interest to me, and that was UNLV in Las Vegas, Cornell in New York, and then City College in San Francisco. Now, City College is not a 4-year university; it's a 2-year college, but their program in the hospitality industry at that time was one of the top in the country. So I had just gotten back from San Francisco the summer before, where I worked as a camp counselor out there. I met my wife at that camp, and we continued a relationship throughout that year. So maybe it was the wife, maybe it was the career goals, but I spent about 8 years out in the Bay Area, starting my career, finishing up school, getting married, and trying to understand what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I originally wanted to be a chef. I wanted to be culinary side. The first 2 semesters of college, where we were cooking at 5 a.m. in the morning and staying out to dinner late at night, quickly cured me of that goal. So I shifted my paths and wanted to work a little bit more in the hotel and the hospitality area.
Hey, incidentally, when President Ford came to the coast, I was actually at that time working for Mobile-Matic as a paramedic, and my partner and I were the ambulance in his motorcade while he was here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, just one of those little anecdotes telling you about how old I am. But it's interesting, Mike. You look back now, it's interesting how you sort of knew what you wanted to do, and you ended up sort of over 30 years in the hotel and casino industry. You worked along the way for Grand Casino, MGM Resorts, Golden Nugget, and now at Boyd. You actually are in the Hall of Fame for the Mississippi Tourism Association. So I would say you actually achieved your goal of making your mark. I mean, you think back, a lot of people say, I'm going to do, like for me, it was paramedic and be an emergency room physician, ended up going to get an MBA and kind of changed my majors and whatever. But you were doggedly determined to do it, and you stayed with it. And now you're in the Hall of Fame as a result of that. I guess you just knew that's what your calling was.
Well, I did, and I will tell you, a lot of my success is owed to the people around me. I mean, I've been very fortunate to work for great companies throughout my career. I've had great leaders and great mentors that pushed me along the way. I have inherited teams, and I've hired teams and trained teams that make me look better. And so, all the things that I did was actually pretty easy to do with the team that I had surrounded me. I'm very proud of the fact that I am in the Hall of Fame. I'm a big baseball fan, and I like to say that, the Baseball Hall of Fame has 333 members, and the Tourism Hall of Fame has only 29. So I'm in a very exclusive club. But no, it's a very proud moment, and I could not do it without the people around me and the people that have been part of my life for the last 30 years.
What I remember, okay, so while you were in San Francisco, you became a Giants fan, and somewhere along the way, you became a Steelers fan. How did the Steelers fan come about?
Well, actually, Steelers came first. I was 6 years old. I liked their colors, and they were winning Super Bowls. So, I mean, that was fairly easy to do. The Giants fan, I've always been a baseball fan. My dad was from Boston and grew up a Red Sox fan. He pushed the Red Sox on me. Carlos Scrimpsey was my first hero. So going out to San Francisco and having the accessibility to go to games on a regular basis really turned me into a stronger baseball fan, and mostly important, turned me into a Giants fan.
So congratulations on your son graduated from the University of Mississippi with a degree in journalism, graduated with honors. You have to be proud of him.
Very proud of him. I mean, he told us that what he wanted to do, and we gave him every opportunity to succeed, but he did it on his own for the most part. Graduated, and then his next step was, well, I want to go live in New York City. So he packed up his life and moved up to New York City, and is working remotely for a digital marketing company out of Pensacola. He loves journalism. He loves documentaries and film. So he's thinking about trying to get an opportunity to work in that area up in New York. And he's done a great job, and we're looking forward to seeing him over the holidays.
Well, my son is in New York as well, working for Price Waterhouse, and he loves the city. My wife Ann and my daughter Tori were just up there to see him, and they got out of there actually just as the nor'easter hit the last few days ago. But it's interesting to watch our kids explore. And University of Mississippi, by the way, his degree is in integrated marketing and communications, but they've done a really good job of saying, there was the old journalism degree, which is about how to write great stories and whatever. But they've really sort of completely reframed their programs so that they understand digital media and all of the opportunities that derive from that. And he was lucky to be in that particular program.
Yeah, again, I don't know what he does, and I don't know what the degree does, but there seems to be a need for it. He was not without a job after graduation very long. They came knocking on his door, and he gladly accepted that role. So I don't know what he wants to do with it, and that's his life to figure out. But I can't stand in his way. And if he wants to do it from New York, when I was 18, I moved to San Francisco. He was 20, and he moved to New York. So I can't argue with him.
Hey, that's good, man. You gotta be willing to let him go. My son Justin, he went all over the world, and every time I said, "Do we really want him to go to Peru? Do we really want him to go to the Amazon? Do we really want him to go live in Spain?" And I was always the guy saying, "Please, no." There was no way stopping. He was going to go see the world, and now he's working on the international team for Price Waterhouse and enjoying life. And man, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to let them go. I wanted all my kids close by, and I got 2 or 3 of them here. And one that was just going to go see the world, and there was no way to stop it. That's just the way it is. And you see that as well, don't you?
Yeah, well, my wife was what's he going to do? Is he going to go to California? Is he going to go to Denver? I don't want to be too far away. Oh, he's going to New York? I can go there at Christmas time.
Well, Mike Davis, it's been great to talk to you. We'll get together soon. It's been just a privilege, and we'll see you next time. But this has been Mike Davis from the IP. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi, and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Get the scoop on what happened in college football and what to expect in the NFL. Each Sunday on Sports Sunday with Michael Borky. Get the story behind the stats, 8 to 10 a.m. on SuperTalk Mississippi, supertalk.fm, and watch the show on supertalk.tv. SuperTalk Mississippi. We're more than just words. This is where the story of your state is told. Proud to cover the Magnolia State like nobody else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter. Has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard. And,
wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show
on SuperTalk Mississippi.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I really enjoyed that conversation with Mike Davis, the director of sales at the IP Casino Resort and Spa. And, when you get into the what's underneath the covers of this guy and understand beyond his position at IP Casino and start to look at his commitment to the community in so many different ways, serves on the planning commission in Ocean Springs and on the board of directors for the Walter Anderson Museum, and there are many other things that he's done since he's been here. But to be to decide to grow up in Ocean Springs, decide that he wants to get into hospitality industry, and over 30 years later, now a member of the Hall of Fame and of the Mississippi Tourism Association, and to have made so many of his marks along the way. I mean, this is just an example of the kind of people we need in coastal Mississippi to make this thing work. It's a big, complicated region, and it takes a lot of really dedicated people to make it work. And one of those people is Chuck Loftis, my friend Chuck Loftis. We have had so much fun together over the years. Used to run long before we got married, huh, Chuck?
Yeah, we did, buddy. We sure did.
And Chuck's mother was like a second mother to me. I'd go over there and she'd feed me fresh vegetables and very sweet tea. And it was the kind of visit you couldn't do too often, because if I did it too often, I'd have weighed about 300 pounds when it was over. Isn't that right, Chuck?
That's right, man. That's right, buddy.
Chuck is the Harrison County Sand Beach director, and he's the guy responsible for when you drive down Harrison County's beach and you look south. He's the guy responsible for what you see, and it's one of the most incredible destinations in the United States. And we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in his world these days. But Chuck, what I want to do before we get too far is to say that, last week was the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Zeta. And Zeta was no small storm, was it? I mean, the challenge.
Thank God that storm didn't stay around very long. It came in and moved out pretty quick, because if it wouldn't have, we would have had severe damage. I mean, it caused a bunch as it was, but I'm glad it was a fast moving storm. It really was.
Yeah, you would have had significant beach erosion. One of the things that I noticed is that the dunes along the way, obviously they were significantly challenged, but not all of them were destroyed. You look at the sort of the boardwalks in Biloxi, They didn't even lose a board, which I was amazed to see. I know there were challenges, big challenges, but it wasn't just Zeta. Last year was a strange year from a debris point of view as it related to the tropical systems we had to deal with, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had a couple of good wind events earlier in the year. They weren't tropical, but they were big wind events. Like we had one week there during the springtime that we had probably 35, 40 mile an hour winds for 4 or 5 days straight. And then, then we had Ida come along and we had more issues after that. So it's been a trying year. It really has.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ida this year, tell me about what you had to contend with in the aftermath of Ida.
Well, the storm hit and it was right before, a big event that we had coming up during cruising the coast. So the board saw that and they wanted to try to take care of it as quickly as possible. So they knew with our resources that we had on county side that we couldn't do it in an expedited way. So we hired a debris contractor to come in and take care of it. And they did a fantastic job. So the board saw that we needed to get it done as quickly as possible before we had the influx of so many people coming in. So it did a good job. They really did.
Yeah, I ride my bike down Highway 90. I leave here, go over the Pops Ferry Road Bridge, go down to Coliseum, I hang a left, and I just take that drive down Highway 90. And I watched the process you guys went through to clean the beach, and man, it happened pretty darn fast. I mean, really fast.
Yeah, they did. They're working on the second round right now. Hopefully they'll finish up everything tomorrow. So, it's a little over a month and a half out since the storm hit and everything is completed. So I think they did a good job. We helped tremendously with the crew that we have on the Sand Beach Department. So I think all in all, we did a pretty good job.
It's been interesting watching and we'll remind people about the dune grass planting and why that's important, et cetera. But where we had the sand dunes, whether it's a wind event or a tropical system, they're really playing their role pretty well. I mean, that investigation, that test has gone pretty well, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, by far the dune vegetation is our best defense on any of that, on the erosion and the wind. The Corps of Engineers just finished up this past year with a project. We finished up a Go Mesa small project with dune grass. So we've added quite a bit, almost a little over $1 million worth of dune grass in the last year. So it's going to help. We probably 90% of the dune vegetation stayed where it was supposed to be. We didn't lose it. So we're in good shape. Hopefully no more tropical events this year, and next year, hopefully not as much as we had this year, and we'll be in pretty good shape.
Well, what's interesting about it, Chuck, is that not only is it helping with the blowing sand, but it has actually become part of the beauty of the beach. I mean, when I'm riding down the beach and I'll see the sunset and see those beautiful sea grasses, it's incredible, isn't it?
Oh yeah, personally, I think it looks fantastic. I think it's great. We have them now all the way from Henderson Point from the west all the way through Biloxi. I think it looks great. It's much better than just looking at straight sand and nothing out there other than that. So the dunes is a great amenity that we have now.
One of the things that I really like that you're doing is you're really working harder these days to make the beach more handicap accessible. Tell me about what's behind that and what's the goal?
Well, ADA, we're trying to do as much as we possibly can. We have handicap ramps along our concrete boardwalk. We have some little shade structures that we put in for the people with wheelchair so they can go down, get close to the beach beyond the ground level. The new boardwalk that we put behind the strip in Biloxi is all ADA accessible. So we're trying to incorporate all we can with any time we build anything new that we make it ADA availability.
And people are using it, aren't they?
Oh yeah, by far. Yeah. On any given day or on weekends, you see it well used all the time.
That is so cool. That is so cool. And the other thing that you and I talked about in the past is the 21 bonfire pits that you guys have put out there. You require a permit. It's $25. But talk to me about what the uses of those fire pits are?
Yeah, well, we had some damage during the storm, but we got them all put back in shape. We put our tables and benches around them, but it's a great amenity. Families, friends come in. A lot of people from out of town didn't even know it was available, that we could do a bonfire on the beach, because a lot of places don't let you do a fire on the beach like we do. So it's a great amenity. People love it, especially this time of year when we get a little bit cool weather. Most of the time all 21 are rented out over the whole weekends. So it's a great amenity. We ask people to please use them, please clean up after they're used. But so far, they've been a fantastic addition that we have down here on the coast.
So what happens when people make a bonfire where you're not in one of those pits, you just do it in the sand, that people bring boards and other things that have nails in them? Talk about why this is important.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier for us to keep up clean if you burn in the fire pit. That's the only locations where we allow bonfires. If you don't, you could get fined by the beach patrol, but it makes it a lot easier. You still don't need to burn any kind of wood with nails or staples in the fire pit, but it makes it so much easier for us to keep the area clean. If you do it on the beach itself, like we used to years ago, when our equipment would run past there and clean it, it would spread the coals everywhere on the beach. It wouldn't look attractive. So this makes it a lot better for everybody concerned.
So Chuck, at my place up in the Delta, we every now and then we'd look down it has a gravel driveway. We'd look down, we'd see like old nails and stuff. And I decided to get one of those magnetic picker-uppers. It's got a big handle on it, and use it to see what are we not seeing. And I kind of started picking up like that. Man, you won't believe how many nails we picked up. What we discovered was they used to do a fire there, and they would put like pallets and other things. Like the worst thing you could burn is a pallet, because it's literally full of nails, isn't it?
It sure is. That's one of the worst objects you could burn by far, is a pallet.
And people think that's an easy burn, but it actually creates a lot of challenges.
It sure does. It creates big challenges.
One of the things I notice as well as I go down the beach is that we seem to be doing a better job with litter control. And we're coming to the end of this segment. So when we get on the other side of that, I want to talk about what's behind what seems like a more improved litter scenario. And I want to talk about the day in the life of your team. What's a day in the life of the Sand Beach Authority look like? We'll come back to that when we come back with Chuck Loftis from the Harrison County Sand Beach. He's the director. We'll see you after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
It just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Del Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera flips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. We're with Chuck Loftis from the Harrison County Sand Beach, and he's the director there, a good friend of mine. We go back a long way. And, you know, Chuck, I remember when I was at the Sun Herald, John McFarland and the marketing team there always worked really hard every single year with the whole paint a can, you know, contest that was happening. And it really, when you think about the cans, you think about the cans and how they're distributed along 26 miles. How many total cans are there?
We have, you know, in the peak of the summertime, we have close to 400.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. But we still have to make sure that the people, our residents and the people who are visiting here, use them and take pride in cleaning up their messes, et cetera, et cetera. How are we doing in that just overall?
You know, it could be better. It really could. I mean, people are utilizing the drums, but, you know, it's a shame when you come back over a busy weekend and you see the parking bays where cars were parked full of trash when you got 3 and 4 garbage cans less than 25 yards away. But, you know, things are getting better. It's much better than it was, say, 2 years ago, but it could always be better, always.
You know, and all of my efforts as publishers, wherever I was, anytime the conversation about litter took place, litter is a complicated thing because it speaks to people's pride, you know, the pride that they have in themselves and their place, whether they live here or whether they're visiting here. And, you know, sometimes people, they don't really care. You know, and there's nothing you can do, all the campaigns in the world. They don't, you know, they just don't care. But one person at a time, you can turn them. And I do see, when I take my rides, I do see an improved situation. It's not perfect yet.
No.
Okay. We want everybody to have pride and not leave, because it sends a terrible message about our place when there's.
It really does. I mean, we do more than just litter on the beach itself. We take care of the medians along Highway 90 from bridge to bridge, the parking bays. So, when you drive up and down Highway 90, we don't want to see that litter in those medians. We don't want to see litter in those parking bays. We don't want that. We don't want the first thing the visitor to see when they get down here is trash sitting there. So we're doing the best we can, and if we get the public's help, everything will be great.
It'd be really better. So when we went to break, I mentioned, what does a day in the life look like for you and your team? Talk about that.
Every day is a different. It is a different scenario, especially since the pandemic. Health issues, with employees, you got to worry about them, getting sick. When it first started, we had people out trying to do the same job with half the crew that you usually do. It was pretty tough, but thank goodness, we're much better off than we were then. Still kind of trying to get good help. Just like everybody else, we're shorthanded. We could stand more employees, but it's tough to try to get employees right now at this time of the day. But the crew that we do have, they do a fantastic job. They work Monday through Friday, sometimes on weekends and holidays. They work, it's stressful because they out there on a daily basis and, talking about the trash, they see it on a daily basis. They pick it up and then, an hour, 2 hours later, they go back and it's back there again. But, a lot of people commend them from what they do on a daily basis. They say, hey, listen, the beach looks fantastic. We've been to other areas and it looks great. Y'all doing a fantastic job. And that means a lot to them. It really does.
Hey, so Chuck, you have a core group that's kind of been with with you for a good long time?
Yeah, there's a handful that's been here. Quite a few of them got to the age where they retired and they moved on. But yeah, we do have some people that's been here for 15, 20 years.
That's interesting. So, but see, look, I know you and I remember talking to you about this the last time we were together, but you're one of the most neat freak guys I've ever met in my life. I mean, Chuck is a neat freak. I mean, big time. So if you want someone to tend to your beach, you want Chuck. So I bet you have it all nailed down when they're gonna when this piece of equipment is going to be over here and when this piece of equipment is going to be over here. I mean, it's all a maintenance program that you have all nailed down, I bet.
Well, it's very trying. It's a trying on a daily basis. And that's another thing, trying to get equipment, with the shortage of parts and trying to get new equipment. We ordered a piece of equipment over a year ago and still haven't received it. I mean, it's just ridiculous with this time, what we're dealing with now. But hopefully it'll get better. Hopefully.
The supply chain issues are significant. I was talking with Robert St. John's, the entrepreneur restaurateur from Hattiesburg, who has his Mississippi Public Broadcasting show. And he wrote the definitive book on Walter Anderson Museum, and he's got a couple of boxes of books, but the rest of the books are sitting on a ship off the coast of California, and they don't expect to get them until like mid-November. I mean, everybody's caught up in that same situation.
It really is. It's hitting us. It really is hitting us pretty hard. Really
well, look, Chuck, thank you for all you do. The beach is beautiful. It's one of our top attractions in coastal Mississippi. We rely on you. Please pass on to your team how much we appreciate the work that they're doing, even in a shorthanded scenario. But take care, and I look forward to talking to you again soon, my friend.
Appreciate it, Ricky. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. It's been Chuck Loftis from the Harrison County Sand Beach, and he's the director there. So we'll see you later, and have a great day.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.